Hello everyone, we are group 44 from ENGG 513. Our topic is the Dieselgate scandal. My name is Shannon. I am in my third year of electrical engineering.
Hello, my name is Radia Jannat and I'm a fifth year software engineering student.
My name is Spencer, and I'm in my fourth year of software engineering.
My name is Sam, and I'm in my fourth year of software engineering.
My name is Menbir, and I'm in my third year of software engineering.
And we are group 44. This is our ENGG 513 case study presentation on the Volkswagen Dieselgate case study. Let us begin by exploring the details of the Dieselgate case. The Volkswagen emission scandal, also known as Dieselgate, is one of the most infamous corporate modern-day fraud cases. It refers to the event when Volkswagen was found guilty of having cheated on emissions tests after installing illegal software in their diesel vehicles to allow them to manipulate the results of these regulatory tests and make their vehicles appear more environmentally friendly than they actually were. However, when they were no longer being under tested conditions, the vehicles and engines ran at full power, sending pollutants into the atmosphere. Let's talk about how this scandal unfolded. Dieselgate was first uncovered between 2014 and 2015 when the International Council on Clean Transportation partnered with West Virginia University to test real-world emissions of diesel cars. This study discovered that Volkswagen diesel engines emit up to 40 times the allowed limit of pollutant nitrogen oxides. Their findings were reported to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, and the California Air Resources Board. Volkswagen initially denied wrongdoing, blaming technical issues, but they subsequently admitted to cheating. On September 18, 2015, the EPA issued a notice of violation of the Clean Air Act to Volkswagen Group of America, revealing that their 2009 to 2015 2.0-liter diesel cars had defeat devices, software that artificially lowered emissions of polluting NOx, or nitrogen oxides, when it detected that the vehicle is in a testing environment, so laboratory testing, but in normal driving deactivated emission control, allowing cars to have more power and have higher mileage but emit a large amount of nitrogen oxides. In November 2015, the EPA also discovered that these devices were installed on the 2014 to 2016 3.0-liter diesel cars and SUVs. In all, the defeat devices were used in 11 million diesel vehicles worldwide. The impact of this scandal on Volkswagen was enormous. Volkswagen paid over $30 billion in fines, recalls, and lawsuits globally. In the US alone, they had to pay $2.8 billion in criminal penalties and $1.5 billion in civil claims. Volkswagen's CEO Martin Winterkorn was forced to resign, with multiple executives facing criminal charges. Their clean diesel branding collapsed, consumer trust in Volkswagen was lost, and vehicle sales declined. When the scandal came out for the first time in 20 years, Volkswagen reported its first quarterly loss at $2.5 billion. This scandal forced Volkswagen to shift its focus towards electric vehicles to rebuild their credibility. Ultimately, the discovery exposed systemic ethical failures in the vehicle industry and forced a number of stronger government regulations. Emissions testing now consists of not just lab-based testing, but also real-world driving tests, closing the loophole that Volkswagen exploited. Penalties are now stricter for emissions fraud. Other automakers like BMW, Daimler, and Stellantis were also found to be in violation of emissions requirements. The diesel market share plummeted across Europe and the US as a result of this scandal, and Dieselgate accelerated the automakers' shift to electric vehicles and hybrids.
At its core, the ethical dilemma of Dieselgate comes down to a serious ethical violation driven by corporate greed, stakeholder pressure, and large marketing campaigns as Volkswagen aimed to promote diesel vehicles in the US market and advance their environment-conscious market strategy. The company advertised their diesel cars as eco-friendly alternatives with better fuel efficiency than gasoline cars, all while deceiving regulators and consumers, maximizing profits for themselves. Unlike some competitors who met regulations by sacrificing performance or adding expensive filters, Volkswagen prioritized power and cost savings, leading to their unethical choice to install those devices. Ultimately, Volkswagen saved an estimated $5 billion US by avoiding the implementation of proper emissions control technology. To achieve this, Volkswagen pressured its engineers to develop the defeat device and conceal it. As a result, these cars emitted significantly higher levels of nitrogen oxides into the environment, contributing to air pollution and serious health issues.
Topic 1: Ethics and Leadership. The scandal and the literal existence of the illegal defeat devices illustrates clear failures in leadership by executives. The management of Volkswagen disregarded ethics by deciding to install the illegal software into the new diesel vehicles. Despite being unethical, engineers were likely pressured by executives to design and develop the defeat device. Former executives described the management style of CEO Martin Winterkorn as authoritarian and aimed at fostering a climate of fear. Managers and business leaders often behaved as if they could act in violation of ethical standards and simply intended to not get caught. The severe management style of the CEO discouraged employees from speaking up against the unethical plans to design the defeat device as they feared career consequences. Ethical leadership should have encouraged transparency and integrity, ensuring engineers upheld professional standards rather than facilitating deception. Instead, a top down culture of misconduct led to a widespread ethical lapse, demonstrating how leadership directly influences engineering decisions. Even when the scandal became known to the public and when the company started to face a huge backlash, Volkswagen's upper leadership still attempted to evade and deny responsibility, moving to withhold information and conceal relevant facts about its cars from consumers, governments, and investors in contravention of securities laws. In violation of its own code of conduct, Volkswagen tried time and time again to avoid having to publish reports, records, or statements that were accurate, comprehensive, or true. Ultimately, Volkswagen was forced to replace its tarnished top leadership and appoint a new CEO from outside the company. It sued individual managers at the center of the scandal for compensation, including 11 former top managers, together with the former chairman of the supervisory board and the former CEO, and actively implemented a number of measures to prevent corruption. Ethical leadership in engineering means acting with integrity, transparency, and accountability. In the case of Dieselgate, Volkswagen's leadership failed to uphold these values, misleading regulators and consumers. Engineers and executives had an ethical obligation to report the wrongdoing, yet the issue only came to light after external investigations. This case highlights the critical role of ethical decision making in maintaining public trust.
For our first discussion question, we imagined that if you were an engineer on the Volkswagen team tasked with developing the software, and you realize that the software violates your ethical duty as an engineer, what would you do in this situation? Some of the questions we came up with would be, would you speak up and whistleblow? Would you continue working under the project? How might you navigate Volkswagen's corrupt, toxic work environment while trying to uphold your ethical values? And what consequences would you face, both personally and in terms of public impact?
Topic 2: Design for Environment. Volkswagen's actions were a direct contradiction of EPEGA's first rule of conduct to hold paramount the health, safety, and welfare of the public and have regard for the environment. The company promoted clean diesel technology while in reality the engines emitted nitrogen oxide pollutants up to 40 times above the legal limit in the US. The excess emissions did not only negatively affect the environment but compromised the safety of the public. Researchers estimate that between 2008 and 2015, excess emissions from affected cars sold in Germany will lead to early deaths of about 1,200 people across Europe. Each of these individuals could lose up to a decade of their life. Interestingly, only about 500 of those deaths are expected to happen in Germany itself, meaning that over 60% of the impact will be felt in neighboring countries like Poland, France, and the Czech Republic. Volkswagen did not design for sustainability or to minimize environmental harm. Instead, Volkswagen prioritized performance and profit over their environmental responsibility. Since 2018, Volkswagen has positioned itself as a global leader in electric mobility. With its new auto strategy, the company is focused on shaping the future of sustainable transportation. This approach goes beyond just making electric vehicles. It includes battery cell production, energy and charging solutions, new mobility concepts, and seamless digital integration into the driving experience. One of the key ethical principles for engineers is to prioritize public welfare and the environment. Volkswagen's Dieselgate scandal directly violated this principle by designing software to cheat emission tests, leading to excessive pollution. Instead of designing for sustainability, the company prioritized profit over environmental responsibility, resulting in harmful consequences for public health and trust.
For our second discussion question, we have Volkswagen's deception led to several environmental consequences, with excess in emission contributing to air pollution and premature deaths. Given that industries often prioritize profitability, what measures should we take to ensure that corporations genuinely commit to sustainable design and ethical practices?
Topic 3: Politics and Neoliberalism. The VW scandal demonstrates how engineering decisions are influenced by political and economic systems. In a neoliberal world, deregulation and market efficiency are prioritized, which gives powerful industries significant influence over regulatory processes. In the European Union, regulators admitted that they had not inspected vehicles for defeat devices since the European Commission banned the practice in 2007. Countries like Germany, Spain, Slovakia, and the Czech Republic, where auto manufacturing is vital to the country's economy, avoided rigorous enforcement. This demonstrates how neoliberalism's focus on protecting national industries often results in governments turning a blind eye to corporate misconduct. In the US, the EPA failed to consistently adapt its emissions testing procedures, making the tests highly predictable despite technological advancements and evolving industry practices. This reflects neoliberal orthodoxy, where government intervention is seen as an obstacle to market efficiency. The predictability of the tests allowed companies like Volkswagen to exploit regulatory loopholes by designing vehicles capable of detecting testing conditions and artificially lowering emissions output during the tests. The scandal serves as a strong reminder of how engineers can get easily caught in systems that prioritize corporate interests over the well-being of the public. Engineers risk becoming foot soldiers of capitalism when they enable deceptive practices, such as the defeat device, to meet market demands. To uphold their professional responsibility, engineers must question not only the technical aspects of their work, but also the political and economic forces that shape it. The Volkswagen scandal highlights how corporate influence and political interests can undermine environmental regulations. How can policymakers strike a balance between fostering a competitive auto industry and ensuring strict environmental compliance? In what ways did globalization and international trade impact the severity and response to Dieselgate? Would the scandal have played out differently if Volkswagen were a US or Asian automaker rather than a European one?
The Dieselgate scandal serves as a stark reminder of the moral and ethical responsibilities that companies bear, especially when their actions can impact the environment and the public health. Volkswagen's deliberate cheating on an emissions test exposed not only corporate greed, but also the willingness to compromise integrity for the sake of profits. In the aftermath, the scandal reshaped the automotive industry, forcing a shift towards greater transparency and stricter environmental standards. However, the true cost extends far beyond the financial penalties and legal ramifications. It also eroded public trust in the very institutions meant to protect consumers and the planet. As we move forward, Dieselgate highlights the importance of accountability, urging companies to prioritize long-term sustainability over material gains, and reminding society of the need for vigilance in holding powerful organizations such as Volkswagen to the highest ethical standards. We as engineers have a legal and moral obligation to uphold ethical practices at the workplace and design for environmental protection, regardless of the pressures or financial costs that we may face. And here are references. Thank you.